Hi everyone, today we're going to be looking at box and whisker plots. So what we're going to do is build a box and whisker plot given the data set that we have here by using the 5-number summary. So in order to do that, the first thing I'm going to want to do is identify what's in a 5-number summary. So for the 5-number summary, we're going to find the minimum of our data, the maximum of our data, the median of the data, the lower quartile, and the upper quartile. So those 5 pieces of information is what I need in order to build a box and whisker plot. So let's go ahead and get started. I always like to start with the minimum and maximum of my data. They're usually the easiest to find as long as my data has been set up in least to greatest. So minimum, maximum. I then want to go ahead and find the median. Now remember, the median of our data is going to be the middle of our data. So in this case, I have a total of 10 data values, which means I don't have a true middle. My median actually ends up being between 2 of my data values. So in this case, between the values of 9 and 10. In order to find my median, I'm going to take 9 plus 10 and I'm going to divide by 2. This is going to give me the value of 9.5, which tells me that this right here is my median of my data. I'm then going to go ahead and find the lower quartile. Now the lower quartile means that it's the lower half of the data. So if this is 100% of our data, I'm looking at only 50%, the lower 50% of that data. And I need to find the middle. So in this case, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 data values, which means I should have a true middle in this case. So you can work your way from the outside in, and you're going to notice that your lower quartile is going to end up being the value of 8. So I can go ahead and show this by putting Q sub 1. This tells me I'm in my lower quartile. Now I'm going to find my upper quartile. Now upper quartile means that it's the upper half of our data, so the upper 50% of our data that I'm going to be using. In this case, I can do the exact same thing. There's only 5 data values on this side, so I'm just going to move into the center. So I end up with my upper quartile at the value of 13. Now I have my 5-number summary. My minimum, my maximum, the median, the lower quartile, and the upper quartile. Now all I need to do is create my box plot, box and whisker plot. So in this case, I'm going to go ahead and draw out my straight line, and I'm going to draw in a number line. So I'm going to create equal spacing between each one of these so that I can create as accurate a box and whisker plot as possible. Now, you'll notice, by the way, that I only went from 7 to 16. The reason for that is because of the fact that my values from my minimum to my maximum are between 7 and 16. So that's as far as I'm going to take it. Now I'm going to go ahead and build my box plot. So I'm going to start at my minimum, and then I'll put in my maximum. I'll then go ahead and do the median. So the median is midway between the 9 and 10, because it's a 9.5. I also have my lower quartile, which is 8, and my upper quartile at the value of 13. Now I'm going to create a box between my lower quartile and my upper quartile. So this right here happens to be the box of our box and whisker plot. Here are the whisker pieces to my box and whisker plot. Now you're going to see that I've created an accurate diagram of what our data shows. You'll see lots of our data is actually put between 7 and 9. So you're going to see that a lot of our data falls between these values, right? Whereas more of our data on the other side, in the upper half of our data, is more spread out than this one. These are all about 1 unit away from each other. These have larger gaps between. So you'll see that in our data. Good thing to remember is that every quartile represents 25% of your data. So from the minimum to the lower quartile is 25% of the data. From the lower quartile to the middle of our data, or the median, that's 25% of our data. From the median to the upper quartile is 25% of our data. And from the upper quartile to the maximum is the last 25% of our data, which when we add it all together is 100% of our data. Hopefully you found this video helpful in making a box and whisker plot.